everyone and welcome to my The Young and the Restless official channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. The Young and the Restless spoilers for Monday, March 9th reveal that Jack Abbott will strike a deal with Patty Williams and hope it pays off. The Abbotts will also get a new lead to follow as they contemplate Jack's kidnapping drama back in Genoa City. Yanar fans know Jack is trapped on a yacht thanks to Victor Newman, who wants Chancellor signed over to him ASAP. Unfortunately, Chancellor isn't Billy's to relinquish since Phyllis Summers is still in charge of it. Billy will give Phyllis the news of Jack's abduction and insist she has to lock in his Chancellor contract immediately. However, Phyllis may argue that Victor is bluffing or even suspect Billy's playing a twisted game of his own. Billy will insist Victor indeed kidnapped Jack and will think Phyllis knows exactly what he's capable of. Phyllis may not be willing to give Chancellor up, so Billy might warn that Jack's blood will be on her hands if anything happens to him. Meanwhile, Patty will no doubt have a shocking story to tell when it comes to how she ended up on Victor's yacht. It's clear that Patty is in a better place mentally than the last time fans saw her. That said, Patty still has a dangerous side and most likely hasn't been fully rehabilitated. Patty's obsession with Jack will apparently be back in full force, so Victor may be using that to his advantage. Of course, Jack can use it too and will ultimately start trying to cozy up to Patty a bit. Jack may complain about being locked in that room for too long and suggest they could have more fun together if Patty gives him the grand tour. Patty will push for a kiss in return, so Jack will promise one if she'll indeed show him around the yacht. If Patty lets Jack out of the sleeping quarters, perhaps he'll be able to find a phone that he can use to contact his loved ones. Jack might also butter Patty up and get her to admit he's on Lake Michigan like he suspects. Whatever the case, Jack might have a chance to reach out to Billy Abbott with a message, especially if he can point to a certain marina. Billy will seemingly mull over a text on his phone at some point, so he'll tell Diane Jenkins Abbott and Kyle Abbott about it. Although Billy will worry it's meant to throw them off the trail, Kyle and Diane will think they have no choice but to follow the lead and see if it's legit. The Young and the Restless spoilers say the Abbotts will do everything in their power to help Jack, so stick with the CBS soap. The storm clouds over Genoa City seem to gather with a heavier weight than usual as Jack Abbott's world teetered on the edge of chaos. Trapped on a yacht far from home, Jack was at the mercy of Victor Newman's ruthless plans, a man determined to wrest Chancellor from Billy's hands and secure it for himself at any cost. The tension in the Abbott household was palpable as Jack's sudden disappearance left a chilling void that no one could ignore. In the midst of this crisis, Jack made a desperate decision, striking a deal with Patty Williams, hoping that her unpredictable nature could be turned into an advantage. The gamble was dangerous, but Jack knew that sometimes the only way to survive Victor's schemes was to play on his own dangerous instincts, and perhaps, just perhaps, turn an enemy into an ally. Back on land, Billy Abbott carried the heavy weight of grim news, confronting Phyllis Summers with urgency in his voice. Jack had been abducted, and Victor was not a man to negotiate lightly. Billy insisted that Phyllis act immediately to lock in Chancellor's contract, warning her that time was slipping through their fingers. But Phyllis, sharp and fiercely protective of her own power, wasn't so easily swayed. She questioned whether Victor was bluffing and whether Billy himself had some hidden motive in this twisted game. Tension hung in the air as Billy argued fiercely, his voice edged with desperation, reminding Phyllis that Jack's life was on the line and if she failed to act, his blood would be on her hands. The moral and strategic stakes were impossibly high and every choice felt like walking a tightrope over an abyss. Meanwhile, aboard Victor's yacht, a different kind of tension simmered. Patty Williams had changed, at least on the surface, her mind clearer, more present than the last time fans had seen her, but the shadow of danger still lingered beneath her composed exterior. Her obsession with Jack had not faded, if anything it burned with renewed intensity. a tool Victor wielded like a finely honed weapon. Jack, ever the strategist even in captivity, recognized the power in her fixation and began to turn it to his advantage, carefully testing the lines between charm and manipulation. He complained about the confines of the room where he was held, suggesting with a playful yet calculated edge that they could make the time more enjoyable if Patty gave him the grand tour. Patty's mischievous push for a kiss became a delicate negotiation, a fleeting spark of intimacy in the midst of peril. Every word, every glance carried weight, each one a step closer to Jack's freedom or a trap he might not escape. As Jack maneuvered the conversation, inching his way toward trust and small freedoms, the possibility of a lifeline emerged. If Patty could be persuaded to let him out of the sleeping quarters, he might discover a phone, a single fragile link to the world beyond the yacht's walls. Through subtle coaxing, Jack teased out admissions, her acknowledgement that they were indeed on Lake Michigan, her inadvertent revealing of the layout of Victor's floating prison. Each revelation became a thread he could follow, a small hope shimmering in the dark as he plotted how to send a message to Billy. Meanwhile, back in Genoa City, Billy's phone buzzed with a mysterious text that could be a lifeline or a trap. He pondered it with caution, sharing it with Diane Jenkins Abbott and Kyle Abbott, his heart pounding with the knowledge that the fate of his brother and perhaps his own conscience rested on the next decisions they made. The Abbotts, driven by loyalty, love, and desperation, resolved to chase every lead, following a trail that could either save Jack or lead them straight into Victor's hands. Every call, every text, every hesitant tip became a pulse of hope against the shadow of Victor's tyranny. In the midst of danger and deceit, the bonds of family and trust were tested, sharpened by crisis and illuminated by the fierce determination to protect one of their own. The stakes had never been higher, the threats never more personal, as Jack's fate hung between cunning and chaos, love and obsession, danger and the faint, flickering possibility of freedom. In this high-stakes game, every moment mattered, and every move could tip the balance between salvation and disaster. As the yacht cut through the cold waters and the Abbotts raced to trace the elusive trail of clues, one truth became undeniable. In Genoa City, power, obsession, and loyalty collided in ways that could change everything. Jack's predicament was more than a test of courage. It was a battle of wits, hearts, and wills, and every heartbeat carried the weight of choices yet to come. With Patty's unpredictable influence and Victor's ruthless machinations, the line between ally and enemy blurred, leaving only one certainty: the next move could determine who survived, who lost, and who would emerge stronger in the ever-shifting tides of Genoa City's relentless drama. The race was on, and the clock was ticking. As the Abbotts followed the faint trail of clues, each moment was a balancing act between hope and fear. Billy, Diane, and Kyle moved with a sense of urgency, their minds racing with every possible outcome, knowing that one misstep could seal Jack's fate. The text on Billy's phone had offered a glimmer of direction, but the line between truth and deception was razor thin. Every marina, every dock, every shadowed corner became a potential battlefield where Victor's reach could strike at any second. Yet despite the overwhelming danger, determination drove them forward. The bond of family acting as both compass and shield, each step was heavy with the weight of responsibility, every glance shared between them carrying the unspoken understanding that Jack's life rested in their hands. The city that often seemed so familiar now felt alien, each street and waterfront whispering threats and secrets they had to unravel before it was too late. On the yacht, Jack's mind was a constant whirlwind of strategy, emotion, and calculated risk. Patty's attention, her obsession with him, had become both a weapon and a potential salvation. Jack navigated the delicate line between trust and manipulation with a precision that only desperation could sharpen. Every conversation, every small concession from Patty felt like a small victory in a battle that could erupt into chaos at any moment. When she finally allowed him a glimpse outside the confines of the room, the view of Lake Michigan reminded Jack of both the beauty and the peril surrounding him. He knew that a single misstep could trigger Patty's darker tendencies or worse, Victor's wrath. Yet beneath the tension, Jack allowed himself a flicker of hope, carefully planting seeds of cooperation that could buy him the time he needed to reach his brother. The dance between captor and captive had become a tense chess game, with every move carrying unimaginable consequences. Meanwhile, Victor Newman's presence loomed like a shadow over the entire ordeal. He watched from afar, confident in his plan, manipulating both Patty's obsession and the abbot's loyalty like pieces on a board. His determination to claim Chancellor was absolute, but even the most meticulous schemes carry cracks, weaknesses that only a cunning adversary could exploit. Jack sensed it, felt the subtle signals of overconfidence in Victor's orchestration, and began to weave his own threads of resistance. Each subtle maneuver, every calculated word, was a step toward reclaiming not just his freedom, but a chance to outwit one of the most dangerous men in Genoa City. The tension was electric, a charged current connecting Jack, Patty, and the unseen presence of Victor. Each heartbeat a countdown toward the inevitable confrontation. Back on land, the abbot's pursuit led them closer to the water, their eyes scanning for any sign of Jack or the yacht that carried him. Diane's instincts told her to proceed with caution, but Kyle's resolve pushed them onward, blending caution with urgency. Every lead they followed brought them closer to a confrontation that could save or destroy Jack, a reminder that in Genoa City, even the most well-laid plans are fragile under pressure. Billy's guilt and fear intermingled with hope as he imagined Jack trapped waiting for a lifeline, and he vowed silently that he would not fail him. The storm outside mirrored the storm within, the tension thick and almost tangible as they approached the location hinted at in the cryptic text. This was no ordinary search. It was a race against time, a test of courage, cunning, and the unbreakable bonds of family in the face of overwhelming danger. As Jack finally edged closer to a possible escape, using Patty's trust as his leverage, the possibility of freedom shimmered tantalizingly on the horizon. But Victor's shadow remained, a constant reminder that power and obsession often carry the heaviest price. Every decision, every calculated risk had to balance the volatile mix of fear, desire, and survival. With the phone in sight and the hope of contacting Billy growing stronger, Jack's heart beat with the dual rhythms of fear and determination, knowing that the right words at the right moment could ignite the chain of events to save him. Patty's unpredictable nature kept him on edge, her emotions a wildfire. He had to navigate delicately, even as he drew closer to turning her fixation into an opportunity for his escape. The yacht became a crucible of tension, where every glance, every word, and every action mattered in the life and death stakes of the moment. In Genoa City, the abbots pressed on, following the tenuous thread of hope, their fear and determination propelling them forward. Each footstep along the docks, each whispered theory, and each fleeting clue brought them closer to a confrontation that could shift the balance of power, not just for Jack, but for everyone caught in Victor's orbit. The storm outside mirrored the storm inside each character, weaving a tapestry of suspense, desperation, and raw emotion that made the stakes feel immediate and dangerously real. As the night deepened, Jack's ingenuity, Patty's obsession, and the abbot's relentless pursuit converged, setting the stage for a dramatic clash where loyalty, cunning, and survival would collide in ways no one could predict. And in the heart of this tense web, one truth stood clear. In Genoa City, nothing is certain. Every choice carries a cost, and the fight for power, love, and survival is never ending. The night deepened over Lake Michigan, the dark water reflecting the faint lights of the city and the looming silhouette of Victor's yacht, a fortress adrift in both danger and uncertainty. Jack's mind raced, every second a balancing act between cunning and survival, as he tested the fragile trust he had cultivated with Patty. She lingered close, her eyes bright with obsession, her every word laced with both fascination and unpredictability. Jack knew he had to tread carefully. One misstep could trigger a violent reaction, or worse, alert Victor to any plan of escape. Every casual question, every playful gesture was carefully measured, a delicate dance meant to loosen the walls that held him captive. When Patty finally allowed him to roam beyond the confines of the sleeping quarters, hope flickered like a candle in the wind, small but fierce, illuminating the path to possible freedom. Jack's eyes swept the yacht, scanning for a phone, for a hidden line to the outside world, for any opportunity that could give him a lifeline to Billy and the Abbotts. The tension was almost suffocating. The air seemed to vibrate with potential danger, each creak of the deck a reminder that Victor's reach extended even here on the water. Yet beneath the danger, a current of opportunity flowed. Using charm, wit, and an instinctive understanding of Patty's desires, Jack nudged her toward revealing crucial details: the yacht's location, the layout of the decks, the subtle hints that could guide him to a hidden phone. Every small piece of information was another brick in the bridge that could carry him back to safety, each revelation a pulse of hope in the shadow of captivity. Meanwhile, on shore, the Abbotts moved with a tense, urgent precision, their eyes scanning every pier, every marina, every glint of light on the water. Billy's mind was a storm of fear and strategy. Diane and Kyle followed with cautious determination, hearts pounding as they traced the breadcrumbs left by Jack's careful maneuvers. Each signal, each cryptic text felt like a fragile lifeline dangling over a chasm. The city around them faded into a blur. The docks, the waves, the night air became their singular focus, each step driven by the knowledge that Jack's life depended on their courage, intelligence, and timing. In every glance exchanged between them, there was an unspoken bond, a shared understanding that failure was not an option, that every second counted in this deadly game orchestrated by Victor. Back on the yacht, the tension between Jack and Patty reached a fever pitch. Jack had to maintain her trust while secretly plotting his escape, and every interaction teetered on the knife's edge of desire and danger. When he finally coaxed her into revealing that they were indeed on Lake Michigan, a surge of determination rushed through him. The pieces were falling into place: the location, the phone, the potential to reach Billy. Each moment was a blend of fear and hope, adrenaline and strategy, as Jack edged closer to turning the dangerous obsession that held him captive into the very key to his freedom. Patty, caught between desire, control, and fleeting flashes of conscience, remained unpredictable, her every reaction a test of Jack's nerves and ingenuity. As Jack finally located a phone hidden among the yacht's quarters, he allowed himself a brief, nearly imperceptible sigh of relief, knowing this could be the bridge to his rescue. Fingers trembling with urgency, he sent a carefully worded message to Billy, a single thread connecting him to the outside world. The Abbotts' phones buzzed, tension exploding into action as Billy recognized the signal. Diane and Kyle braced themselves as Billy relayed the location and instructions, their hearts hammering in unison with the stormy waves beyond. Every mile, every footstep toward the docks became a heartbeat of hope, the city itself seeming to hold its breath as the climax of Jack's peril approached. Finally, as the Abbotts arrived at the indicated marina, the confrontation reached its full intensity. The yacht loomed large, a gilded prison with both danger and the promise of liberation. Jack, ready to seize the moment, moved swiftly and decisively. Every interaction with Patty calculated to delay her long enough for him to secure a chance at freedom. Victor's shadow hovered just out of sight, his plans threading through every action, every misstep a reminder of his relentless control. And yet, the power of family, the force of loyalty, and the spark of clever courage converged in a single electrifying instant. Jack's heartbeat echoed the rising tide of suspense, a rhythm that marked the turning point between captivity and liberation, between despair and the thrilling possibility of survival. In the end, it was not brute strength but cunning, connection, and timing that would decide the outcome. As the yacht rocked gently in the lake, Jack's escape became imminent. The Abbotts closing in, hearts synchronized in hope and fear. Patty's obsession had become both obstacle and unwitting ally, her choices tipping the scales in favor of Jack's daring bid for freedom. Victor's empire, built on manipulation and power, stood challenged by the indomitable will of those who refused to abandon family, no matter the risk. And in that tense cinematic moment, the audience could feel it. The raw emotion, the high stakes, the fragile triumph over a world that seemed designed to crush those who dared to resist. Genoa City had never been more alive, more dangerous, or more thrilling as the threads of obsession, loyalty, and power finally collided in a breathtaking climax that left no heart untouched and no fate uncertain,